After being abandoned by her true love, Evelyn was vulnerable, and I took advantage of the situation for a fleeting moment. As a result, she insisted I take responsibility and made me sign a 3-year contract to be her substitute partner for 3 years. I devoted myself to being her loyal boyfriend. However, when her friend asked, "You've been with Sebastian for 3 years now. When are you planning to get married?" she replied, "Sebastian is just a stand-in for Gabriel. He's not type at all. Once Gabriel returns, I'll leave him immediately." Little did she know I also had someone I cherished deeply on the day our contract ended. "My true love, Victoria," returned Evelyn with red eyes from crying. Said Sebastian, "Don't tell me you haven't fallen for me even once in these 3 years." I replied, "You were just a stand-in for Victoria, not my type at all." In the early hours of the morning, Evelyn returned smelling strongly of smoke. Fit Gabriel's character as a romantic rogue. However, I didn't mind and took her directly to the bathroom. She had been drinking and was in high spirits, her smooth and delicate arms wrapped around my neck. We played around until 3:00 in the morning, when I carried her out of the bathroom again. She was too exhausted to move a finger. She nestled into my arms, her forehead against my shoulder, and asked softly, "Don't you have work tomorrow? Won't you be tired?" I replied, "No, I'm fine. I'll take a break at noon." From the first day I was with Evelyn, I knew I was just a stand-in for Gabriel, the one she couldn't have. But I'm a serious person, so once I signed the contract, I dedicated myself to fulfilling all her demands for 3 years. No matter how busy I was, I would prepare breakfast for her, drive her to work, and take her to places she wanted to visit during holidays. She never had to worry about the itinerary, food, or accommodations. When she was tired, I would carry her. When she was hungry, I would cook for her. I even took care of organizing her wardrobe. Evelyn would often say to me, "Sebastian, you treat me so well that I've forgotten why I was with you in the first place. I wish we could continue like this forever." She seemed very satisfied with my performance tonight, kissed my chin, and said considerately, "You can sleep a little longer tomorrow morning. I'll make breakfast." She started chatting with me, asking, "We've been together for 3 years now, but I've never met your parents. What should we bring them for the new year?" My eyes suddenly opened wide, and I said, "Evelyn." She didn't realize anything was wrong and smiled. "You were just calling me sweetie earlier. Why are you calling me by my name now?" She spoke playfully and affectionately, as if truly fond of me. Evelyn seemed to have forgotten that she insisted I call her baby. All my contacts and messages with her were saved as baby, and it was even pinned to the top. I responded flatly, "Evelyn, our contract has only 1 week left." She looked at me blankly, as if she didn't understand what I meant. I got out of bed, put on my robe, found my glasses on the nightstand, and put them on. As I did this, I didn't say a word. My calm and serious demeanor seemed unfamiliar to her under the dim bedside light. She finally understood what I meant. Her face turned pale. She wrapped herself in the blanket and asked incredulously, "Sebastian, what do you mean? Are you breaking up with me?" During these 3 years, whenever I did something that didn't please her, she would question me sternly. But I always knew my place as the subordinate in the contract, and did my best to play the perfect stand-in boyfriend. Looking at the goosebumps on her bare shoulders, I raised the room temperature for her and said in a but firm voice, "Evelyn, we were never really together. How can we break up?" This completely enraged Evelyn, who had always been prideful and domineering. She jumped out of bed and started throwing my things at me in a fit of anger, shouting, "We've been sharing a bed for 3 years. You just slept with me, and now you're saying we were never together? Sebastian, you have some nerve." I stood still, letting her vent. As she threw things around, she realized that there were very few of my belongings in our shared home. It was as if this place was just a temporary stop for me. This realization made her even angrier, and she shouted with a trembling voice, "Since that's the case, the remaining 7 days don't matter. A man like you is too much for me. Get out now." Sighing, I started packing my things. The contract did state that Evelyn, as the employer, could terminate the contract unconditionally, and I couldn't cling on. Evelyn seemed to forget that, although the house was in her name, I had been paying the down payment and monthly mortgage. However, I didn't plan to dispute the ownership of the house at this moment. Seeing how straightforwardly I was packing, Evelyn started crying, saying, "Sebastian, if you apologize for what you just said, and promise never to say such things again, I'll pretend I never heard it." and forgive you. Our relationship can go back to how it was, however, I had no intention of reconciling. I didn't have much to pack, but it still wasn't enough to fit into one suitcase. I only took my change of clothes, important documents, and my computer. The sound of the suitcase closing echoed sharply in the silent night. Standing up, I said, "Let me know when it's convenient for you to message me, so I can come and get the rest of my things." Evelyn stood barefoot in the middle of the room, biting her lip, without saying a word. As I turned to leave with my suitcase, she suddenly rushed over and hugged me tightly from behind, her cheek pressed against my back, pleading tearfully, "Sebastian, please, don't go." I remained expressionless and silent. Evelyn's body trembled slightly with sobs, her tears soaking through the back of my shirt. She cried, "You can't leave. Our contract hasn't expired yet." Mentioning the contract seemed to remind her of something, and she became more assertive. "Right, you can't leave. The contract states that you don't have the right to unilaterally terminate it. You can't go." Since she brought up the contract, it was nothing more I could say. The contract was indeed very clear that, as the subordinate party, I was not allowed to terminate. At first, 3 years ago, Evelyn had been rejected by her childhood crush Gabriel at the airport. Heartbroken and ejected, she went to a bar and drank one glass after another. Coincidentally, I was also in a bad mood that day and was sitting on a bar stool next to her, drowning my sorrows in alcohol. The burning sensation of the alcohol gradually eroded my rationality. Our eyes met, and Evelyn suddenly cried and threw herself into my arms, saying, "Your eyes look just like his." Desire spread in our drunken state, and I couldn't remember who made the first move. We hugged, kissed, and sought solace in each other's company. The next day, when we sobered up, rationality returned. Evelyn stared into my eyes for a long time before biting her lip and saying, "What happened last night can't be undone. You took my first time, so you have to take responsibility." I had no choice but to nod, although I was certain I wasn't the one who initiated it. As a man, I had to take responsibility. Evelyn said, "I will draft a substitute contract for you to sign for 3 years. You will be my boyfriend." Seeing my confusion, Evelyn scornfully explained, "Don't worry, I won't cling to you or fall in love with you. I have my true love. In 3 years he'll return after his studies, and then we'll part ways. You better not hold on to me." And so, for 3 years, I honored this contract, being her obedient boyfriend without ever falling for her. But now, with 3 years coming to an end, and my true love having returned, why was Evelyn the one clinging on to me? Sighing, I reluctantly turned around and held her in my arms, gently comforting her. All right, don't cry. It's late, let's not argue. I'll put you to sleep." Evelyn, exhausted from drinking an intense night and a fierce argument, quickly fell asleep. I got up, closed the door quietly, and left, not wanting to drive while tired. I spent the night in my car. In the morning, I checked into a hotel opposite my office, freshened up, and went to work on time. Although I hadn't slept much the night before, being young still had its perks. My face didn't show any signs of fatigue. As I entered the office, someone said, "Hey, why is Sebastian having breakfast at the office today? Is your girlfriend not at home?" I looked up to see Brandon, my senior from college and co-founder of the tech company. I replied, "We've broken up." Brandon almost choked on his breakfast in surprise, but under my gaze, he managed to keep it in and turned to cough violently, taking a sip of soy milk to swallow his food. He quickly asked, "What happened? When did this happen? I thought you two were doing great just last month on our business trip. You were calling her good morning and good night despite the 12-hour time difference. You didn't even blink when buying luxury goods at duty-free shops. If I were a woman, I'd marry you without hesitation." I thought for a moment and chose to answer just one question. "It happened early this morning." Brandon couldn't contain his curiosity and asked, "Did you bring it up, or did Evelyn?" I replied, "Both, but mostly her." Not giving Brandon more time to pry, I quickly finished my breakfast and prepared to start work. However, he followed me into my office asking, "Where are you staying now? I remember you were paying the mortgage for that place. Didn't you say you paid it off early this year? That area must have cost at least $500,000. You two weren't married, so how are you dividing the assets?" I replied, "I'm looking for a place after work this week. I'll find one and move in within a week, with just the two of us in the office." There was nothing much to hide. Brandon, hearing about the asset division, exclaimed, "Sebastian, you're really leaving with nothing? That's some resolve." But isn't that a lot of money? Are you sure you don't want any? Or are you still thinking about her honestly? If you still have feelings for her, you should try to make up, I responded. Calmly, it's not what you think. The breakup is a done deal. Everything else is private. Brandon, get back to work. It's not surprising. Brandon was curious. If it were anyone else, a breakup would just mean moving on to someone better. But I'm different. Since my student days, I've been extremely disciplined and caring towards my partner as an entrepreneur in the tech industry. I always went home on time after work, even during business trips. I would greet Evelyn good morning and good night despite the time difference on holidays, even foreign ones. I would give her something special. For 3 years my life revolved around work in Evelyn, with Evelyn being more important most of the time. Once Brandon saw my computer screen open to a recipe, and I was diligently taking notes. Brandon joked with me, saying, "If I learned your tricks, I wouldn't have any trouble getting any girl." I often wondered why, despite my wealth, decent looks, and always putting my girlfriend first, Evelyn still couldn't forget Gabriel. As soon as he returned, she immediately ran into his arms. Near the end of the workday, Evelyn, surprisingly, came to pick me up from the office. She brought desserts for my colleagues and closed the office door amidst their envious compliments. She sat on my lap, pulled my collar, and said, "Let me see, did you miss me today?" She breathed softly, lightly biting my earlobe. But the usual intimacy that would have made my blood boil only made me feel uncomfortable and resistant because of the unfamiliar smell. Smoke on her. I tried to avoid Evelyn's kisses, and in the struggle a red mark on her collarbone was revealed. I was certain I hadn't left any marks on her. As an adult man, I knew what that fresh mark meant. A wave of disgust, mixed with a faint heartache, spread through me. Evelyn asked, "What's wrong, honey? Are you feeling unwell?" My unpleasant expression made her panic. Seeing I didn't respond, she anxiously touched me all over. At that moment, I felt a bit ironic, wondering if I should remind her to cover the kiss marks and tear off her mask of feigned affection. I replied, "It's nothing, maybe I caught a cold with the temperature drop." I chose to be perfunctory, knowing that everything between us should end in 6 days. Evelyn kissed my forehead and murmured, "You such a grown-up, can't take care of yourself at all. What would you do without me?" I smiled without refuting. We both knew that for the past 3 years I had been the one taking care of everything. Evelyn came from a well-off family. After graduation, she didn't work a 9-to-5 job, but opened a design studio. She was naive and romantic naturally, not the type to cook for her partner before bed. Evelyn habitually nestled in my arms, scrolling through her phone. She accidentally played a voice message, and Gabriel's voice came through clearly. "Baby, your body is like the most precious artwork, so beautiful it keeps me awake. I want to have you every day like today, with you by my side. The air is sweet. Good night, baby." Kisses. Evelyn quickly covered her phone, turned to me with a stiff smile, and explained, "I'm watching a short drama." I pretended to believe her, nodding and saying, "What kind of script is this? It's so cheesy it hurts my teeth." Evelyn awkwardly agreed with me, then grabbed her phone and claimed she had a stomach ache, heading to the bathroom in the living room. An hour later, when I went to the kitchen for water before bed, I could still hear her flirting with someone on the phone. Through the door, Evelyn's coyish voice came through, "I miss you too. I've been thinking about you all the time since we parted. The bed at this hotel isn't soft enough. Let's try another one next time, okay? You want to come to my place? Sure. But it's too messy. Let me tidy up first." How do you know Sebastian? He's just a friend at most. You're standing. Why would I worry about him? Finding out you're so good with sweet talk. Do you say these things to every woman? I've been waiting for you all these years, thinking only of you. Do you think I'm under your spell? Even though I knew from the beginning that I was just a stand-in, after 3 years of sharing a bed, her flirtatious laughter still felt like a sharp thorn in my days. My phone chimed with a message. It was from Victor Oria, my true love, who had moved overseas with her family during college. The message read, "Sebastian, I'm coming back to the country. Will you pick me up?" Her flight landed on the same day my contract with Evelyn ended. "Evelyn, it's time to end this fake relationship." That night, I didn't sleep well. Sweating profusely at dawn, Evelyn woke me up half asleep. I mumbled and pushed her away, but she didn't mind my sweaty state and kissed my lips. I instantly woke up, almost instinctively wanting to push her away, but held back. I said, "I haven't brushed my teeth." I turned my head away And fortunately Evelyn's lips didn't linger, she said. Why would I mind? I finally woke you up. I thought I was hugging a little heater. I asked what Evelyn pulled me out of bed and said, don't you know you have a fever? Get up, I'll take you to the hospital. I thought I might have caught a cold from spending the night in the car, although I didn't think it was a big deal. A hot shower and some rest would do. But out of habit, I couldn't resist Evelyn's insistence, so I got up, washed up quickly, and went to the hospital with her. In the emergency room, we ran into Gabriel. He seemed unwell, his face pale. Evelyn's previously calm face instantly tensed up. She let go of my hand and rushed to Gabriel, grabbing his arm and asking worriedly, Gabriel, what's wrong? Why are you at the hospital? Gabriel smiled at her, his gaze meeting mine over her shoulder. He said, I just got back and have a bit of jet lag. And this is— Evelyn hesitated, glanced at me, and stammered, he's my friend, he's not feeling well. So I came with him. I understood that Evelyn didn't want Gabriel to know the true nature of our relationship. Gabriel nodded and pointed to the consultation room ahead, saying, I won't keep you then. I'll go see the doctor. His expression was somewhat forlorn as he walked away alone. Seeing Gabriel about to leave, Evelyn instinctively supported his weak body and turned to me, saying, Gabriel is unfamiliar with this place. I can't leave him alone. You go see the doctor yourself. I coldly asked, you're not coming with me? Evelyn, frowning, replied, Sebastian, what's wrong with you? Didn't you say you felt better in the car? I leaned against the wall, expressionless. Without responding, Evelyn, now focused entirely on Gabriel, left with him towards another consultation room. I smirked sarcastically, thinking about how the woman who was just caring for me had now run off to another man without looking back. I couldn't decide whether to admire her sincerity or laugh at her insincerity, shaking my head bitterly. I walked to my consultation room. The nurse took my temperature and found it had spiked to 40 degrees. It was likely due to my busy work schedule and low immunity, leading to a flu infection that required IV treatment. Out of habit, I called Evelyn twice, but both calls were declined. Only then did I realize how foolish I was. Habits are indeed terrifying. I put away my phone, queued up for medication, and went to the infusion room for treatment. I felt even dizzier during the infusion and accidentally fell asleep. It was the family member of the patient next to me who noticed my IV had finished and called the nurse to wake me up. For 2 whole hours, Evelyn didn't call or message me. When I finally dragged my aching body to the parking lot, I found that Evelyn had taken my car, using the spare key I had left with her. I called her again, and this time she answered. Hearing that I was still at the hospital, she hesitated for a moment and said, sorry, Sebastian, I planned to come back for you after dropping Gabriel off, but he had an allergic reaction, so I took him to a nearby hospital. Before she could finish, the car's navigation system announced, you have arrived at the Shangri-La Hotel underground parking lot. Despite Evelyn quickly turning off the navigation, I heard it clearly. I said, it's fine, I'll take a cab. After hanging up, Evelyn messaged me, Sebastian, go home first, I'll explain later. I scoffed. What was there to explain? We were never in a relationship that required explanation. Still, I called a cab to the hotel, not to catch them in the ACT, but to avoid any entanglements or false accusations. When the contract ended in the underground parking lot, I found my car. Opening the door, I was hit by the unmistakable scent of intimacy. On the passenger seat's floor mat lay a torn pair of black stockings, and used protection was blatantly hanging on the center console. I expressionlessly turned on the dash cam. The recording showed Gabriel asking, what do you want to eat? Evelyn's sweet voice replied, I want to eat you, big brother. Gabriel responded, little glutton. I heard the beds at Shanga are very soft, want to try? Evelyn giggled, aren't you feeling weak from jet lag? Gabriel replied, you'll know if I'm weak once you try. Then came the sounds of rustling clothes and Evelyn's soft moans. She said intermittently, focus on driving. Gabriel laughed, you're dressed so beautifully. If I can still focus on driving, I should see a doctor. Evelyn playfully scolded, stop it, find a place to park first. Gabriel didn't respond, and soon the car stopped. The sound of a belt buckle being undone followed, then the unmistakable sounds of intimacy. I knew from the sounds that Gabriel had torn Evelyn's stockings, and she was opening the protection. I copied the audio to my phone, smoked a cigarette in the car, then locked it, and left when Evelyn came home that night. She immediately explained Crystal had another fight with her boyfriend, and I was called to mediate. Crystal was Evelyn's best friend with a troublesome boyfriend. I casually asked, did they make up? Evelyn, hugging me, said, almost. My boyfriend is the best, always giving in to me, never arguing. I smiled noncommittally, looking at Evelyn's bare legs under her short skirt. Seeing my gaze, Evelyn awkwardly explained, I accidentally tore them getting out of the car, so I threw them away. I didn't respond, just handed her the tablet and said, Brandon wants to change cars and ask for my advice. He wants a spacious car, preferably one suitable for car activities. Which one do you think is best, baby? Evelyn's face turned red, her eyes darting around, and she forced a smile, saying, you men choose cars. How would I know? I'm tired, honey. I'll go take a shower. She kissed my cheek and went to the bathroom to remove her makeup and wash up. Disgusted, I wiped my cheek and looked at the bathroom door, probably afraid I'd suspect something. Evelyn didn't lock the door when the shower started. I got up and opened the bathroom door. Evelyn screamed, covering her chest. I said, why so shy? It's not like I haven't seen it before. I sneered, not missing the marks on her chest. I continued, I haven't showered either. Let's do it together. Evelyn nervously grabbed a bathrobe and quickly wrapped herself up tightly. Evelyn forced a smile and said, I'm done. Howering, you can go now. She practically fled the bathroom with one finger. I lifted the undergarments she had discarded by the sink, the stains still visible. I scoffed, thinking she didn't even bother to clean up after herself. When I finished showering and returned to the bed, Evelyn was already wearing a conservative sleep that covered her from head to toe, pretending to sleep. While clinging to the edge of the bed, I found it amusing, since I did have a cleanliness quirk about these things. In the silence, my phone suddenly rang. Seeing an unknown number, I quietly stepped out to the balcony to answer it. Sebastian, it's Gabriel. We didn't get a chance to properly meet today. Although Gabriel was Evelyn's first love, he was still the third party in this triangle. He felt no shame, even calling to assert his dominance. I calmly replied, nice to meet you. He continued, Sebastian, let's not pretend I know about you and Evelyn. I also know you've discovered us together. How was it? The marks I left on her. Thrilling, right? She told me herself that I'm the only man she's ever loved, so why are you still hanging around her? She despises you now. Gabriel's tone was both bragging and frantic. I retorted sarcastically, seeing how eager you are, I almost pity you, Evelyn. And I can end it whenever she wants. You think you found a treasure, but I've long discarded it. Frustrated at not getting the response he wanted, Gabriel hung up angrily. With 5 days left on the contract, Evelyn found excuses to stay out late or not come home at all. Since she wasn't coming home, there was no need for me to return early either. However, I still maintained my usual work routine, leaving at 5:30 p.m. Part of it was habit, and part of it was genuinely being busy looking for a new place. I found a well-furnished apartment close to the office, costing over $10 million. The house I bought for Evelyn had appreciated from $6 million to $8 million in 2 years. Most of my assets were tied up in company shares, and I had limited cash flow, especially since I planned to buy a place near Victoria's home for convenience. After several days of house hunting, I finally settled on a property, paid in full with my available funds, and got the keys ready to move. In this day marked the final day of my contract with Evelyn, with the mindset of working diligently until the last day. I messaged her, baby, want to have dinner tonight? She quickly replied with a voice message amidst background noise, I want strawberry cake. Crystal grabbed my phone earlier. She and her friend are coming over. Let's have hot pot tonight. I responded, sure, same place. I'll make a reservation at 5:30 p.m. I booked the restaurant, bought the cake, and drove home to pick up Evelyn and her friends in the car. Evelyn checked the cake bag, and knowing her vanity, I had bought extra for her to show off to her friends. She took her favorite strawberry mousse and tossed the rest to the back seat, saying, lucky you guys. Crystal exaggeratedly exclaimed, Evelyn, where do you find such a boyfriend? Why doesn't the heavens send me one? Evelyn glanced at her through the mirror, looking proud as a peacock, and replied, just dream about it, and you'll have everything in your dreams. After dinner, I went to pay the bill. Returning, I overheard their conversation at the door. Crystal said, Gabriel's back. What about your stand-in? Evelyn laughed lightly. Don't mention it in front of him. He doesn't know. Another friend joked. Crystal, are you silly? With the first love back, who needs a stand-in? Crystal replied, But Evelyn, you've got Sebastian wrapped around your finger. He's a high-profile, successful guy, earning millions annually. Are you really willing to give him up?" Evelyn sighed. "Of course I'm reluctant. I've been so conflicted. He's so caring and generous with me." Crystal suddenly lowered her voice mysteriously. "Evelyn, is your standing good?" And other air is to think about it. I didn't want to hear any more gossip about myself. Pushing the door open, Evelyn smiled and came to greet me, nestling into my arms. Or she said, "Honey, we want to go karaoke tonight. Will you cover the bill? It's girls' night, no boys allowed." I agreed. And in the midst of her friends cheering, she stood on tiptoe and kissed me, her slender fingers entwining with mine. For a moment, it almost felt like we could spend our lives together. But I knew she was planning a welcome party for Gabriel that evening. While working in my study, I received a video message from Gabriel. He said, "Buddy, Evelyn is mine tonight." The video showed them at a party with Evelyn wearing the dress I bought her, embraced by Gabriel as they kissed passionately. In the background, Crystal's voice cheered, "Childhood friend wins over new love." I didn't respond to Gabriel. Instead, I opened Evelyn's secret social media account. She didn't know I could easily hack it, being a programmer. She posted, "Mr. Gabriel, I finally waited for you," with a picture of their intertwined hands, just like how she held mine earlier. Gabriel replied, "After all this time, it's still you." Many mutual friends commented sincerely, offering their blessings, thinking they could keep it from me. I felt like I was watching a farce, expressionlessly putting my phone away to continue my work. Tomorrow, my 3-year contract with Evelyn would end. Leaving was certain, not because of her capricious nature or the sudden return of her first love, but because I knew my role as a stand-in from the beginning. It was clear how it would end with the main character back. It was time for me to step aside. That night, Evelyn didn't come home and didn't even bother to make up a flimsy excuse. In the morning, I packed all my belongings and scheduled a moving company online. Before leaving, I placed the now meaningless contract on her dressing table, deleted my fingerprint from the door lock, and cleared all the digital passwords. On the day our contract ended, I moved into my new home. After a bit of settling in, I went back to the office to handle some work, planning to pick up Victoria from the airport. In the evening, Shen and some friends, upon hearing of my new place, insisted on throwing me a housewarming party. They brought beer and snacks, using a temporary code to enter my please place. Chen said, "Hurry to the airport and pick up Victoria. We haven't seen her in years. Wonder if she still recognizes her senior." Another friend joked, "As long as she remembers Sebastian, that's all that matters." Those two were close in college, almost a couple. If not for her family's move, they'd probably have kids by now. Hearing this, my earlier annoyance from Evelyn's actions vanished with a smile. I said, "I'll ask Victoria if she comes. Be supportive, but don't scare her off." Chen replied, "Don't worry. We'll behave. Call us when you get Victoria. I'll order takeout." As a single guy, Chen's first choice was always takeout. He didn't realize that after 3 years of having a home, my habits were different. I picked up my phone and while scrolling through apps asked, "What do you want to eat?" "I'll order ingredients and cook dinner." At the airport, amidst the bustling crowd, my heart raced when I saw the familiar figure, Victoria, dragging her suitcase. Looked around urgently. When our eyes met, her face lit up, and she ran towards me. In those 5 years abroad, she had matured, but her smile was still as bright as ever. "Long time no see." I greeted, my voice trembling slightly. Victoria, holding back tears, said, "I'm back, Sebastian. No matter how great the world is out there, my heart has always been here. I'll never leave again." Gently brushing her hair aside, I said, "Let's go, Chents. And the others are waiting for us." Victoria nodded enthusiastically, her face beaming. Back at my place, the lights were on, and my friends cheered. As we entered, I headed to the kitchen, saying, "You guys should, I'll cook." Victoria greeted everyone briefly and followed me, asking softly, "Need any help?" Smiling, I replied, "No, just wait for the feast. This is your welcome dinner." My phone rang on the living room table, showing an unknown number. In this day and age, such calls were usually telemarketers. Victoria thought so too, picking up the phone and peeking into the kitchen. She said, "Sebastian, seems like a spam call with the stove's fan running." I didn't pay much attention and replied, "The peppers are just in the pan, don't get choked. Can you answer it for me?" Victoria answered the call. But before she could speak, the person on the other end started scolding, "Sebastian, what do you mean by moving everything out?" Evelyn hadn't come home for a day, and night only to find everything of mine gone, and the expired contract left on her dressing table. Thinking I had left without a word, Evelyn became even more aggrieved, gritting her teeth and shouting into the phone, "If you have the guts, never come back." Victoria, not understanding the situation, awkwardly said, Sebastian is cooking. I'll have him call you back." Hearing a female voice, Evelyn seemed stunned for a moment before hanging up. Sensing the anger in the caller's voice, Victoria bit her lip and quickly opened the kitchen door, calling out, "Sebastian, the call you asked me to take was from a girl." She seemed upset. Even Victoria, despite her naivety, could sense there was some unresolved issue. She handed me the phone, saying, "I'll serve the food. You should call her back." I didn't hesitate, taking the phone and stepping out. It wasn't about tolerating Evelyn's tantrums. I just believed in a clean break. Leaving things unclear would only lead to more misunderstandings. Standing on the balcony, I dialed Evelyn's number. Despite deleting her contact, I had memorized it. After 3 years of countless calls, Evelyn didn't speak immediately. After about a minute, she finally spoke with a tearful voice, "Sebastian, aren't you going to explain what just happened?" Despite her sobs, her tone was still accusatory. But I was immune to it now. "Evelyn, this is my personal life. It has nothing to do with you," I replied calmly. "When we first got together, I struggled with her spoiled and domineering nature. But over 3 years I learned various skills like cooking and comforting. Becoming the perfect stand-in for her first love. In the past, I would never have responded so formally. But now I did." This response infuriated Evelyn. She raised her voice. "You blocked me on WeChat. You're with another woman. And you deliberately had her answer my call." "Sebastian, you're breaking up with me because of her, aren't you? The contract ending is just an excuse. You're a jerk, giving your first to someone else and abandoning me. How can you cook for another woman in the living room?" My friends watched through the glass door, seeing a rare hint of impatience in my usually calm demeanor. "Evelyn, we're done. We're no longer in a position to discuss personal matters. Please respect that," I said. Evelyn was stunned, never expecting such a distant attitude from me. After our contract ended, my formal tone made it clear she was now just an insignificant acquaintance. "Sebastian, how can you say that? We've been together for 3 years. I'm the closest person to you. How can you say we're not in a position to discuss personal matters, even if we started with a contract? 3 years is a long time. You can't be so heartless," she argued. My voice remained steady. "Evelyn, stop dwelling on this. What do you want to say?" My indifferent attitude made it clear I had no lingering feelings for our 3-year relationship. Evelyn sniffled. "Sebastian, how can you leave so easily? Don't tell me you never had feelings for me in these 3 years." Despite her questioning, she was confident in the answer. After 3 years of intimacy, surely there were feelings involved. But I replied without hesitation, "I'm sorry, Evelyn. You're not my type." Evelyn couldn't accept this feeling. Her pride was deeply wounded. Looking at the half-empty closet and recalling the gentle voice on the phone, she felt a strong sense of crisis, willing to lower herself. She tried to win me back. "Honey, are you still upset about the contract? I can explain. I haven't seen that first love in a long time. He was just a childhood crush. I like you now. If you come back and sincerely apologize, I can forgive you, and we can continue." Spoiled, she thought a simple apology would bring me back. I scoffed. "Evelyn, you're mistaken. I have no intention of continuing a relationship with you now or in the future. As you can see, I'm ready to move on with someone else. Please don't disturb my life anymore." Evelyn was shocked, realizing I was serious about ending things. She couldn't control her emotions, crying hysterically and accusing me of being heartless. "Sebastian, how can you treat me like this? What did I do wrong? While I dreamed of spending my life with you, you tell me I was the only one in love. Fine. If that's how it is, let's break up completely. I can live without you." Will see. Her harsh words received no denial or explanation from me. I simply said, "All right, goodbye," and hung up. Evelyn couldn't believe I would truly leave her behind. She had always enjoyed my patience and kindness, feeling proud of my boundaries with others. But now, being excluded herself, she realized how cold-hearted I could be. Evelyn carefully recalled the past 3 years with me. We rarely had conflicts, and no matter how unreasonable her demands were, I always complied, indulging her without limits. She remembered a time when she blocked me out of anger and I immediately went to her studio with flowers and gifts to apologize in person. That day Evelyn felt especially satisfied, enjoying the feeling of being my top priority. But now I had hung up on her. Taking a deep breath, Evelyn gritted her teeth and couldn't help but smash the cup against the wall. Victoria, seeing me return to the dining room, lowered her gaze. Without speaking, I, feeling relaxed, picked up my cup and asked softly, "Why aren't you eating?" She replied, "I wanted to wait for you." Victoria took a few bites, but couldn't resist her curiosity. "Is that the girlfriend they mentioned, one you cherished?" she asked. I didn't deny it, but simply said, "We have nothing to do with each other anymore." Seeing my calm expression, Victoria continued, "I used to wonder what kind of girl could capture your heart. I thought she would be gentle and sweet. I didn't expect someone with such a strong personality." Leaning back in my chair, I found her analysis amusing. "So you like girls with a lively personality?" "Huh, she must be very pretty," Victoria said, trying to hide her jealousy. I finally laughed, ruffling her hair affectionately. "It's not what you think. I'll explain everything later. We're done, and there's no chance of getting back together. Don't worry about her. Let's eat." Blushing, Victoria nodded. And yeah, let's not talk about exes. The next one will be better." He then raised his glass. "Sebastian, you haven't had a drink yet. Let's toast." I declined. "I have to drive Victoria later." No drinking. Dinner didn't last long, as Victoria was still adjusting to the time difference after her long flight. After dropping her off, I returned home by 8:30 p.m. Evelyn called several times, but I didn't answer. After 3 years of entanglement, it was time to move on. I took a shower, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and sat on the balcony, enjoying the peaceful night. For the first time in 3 years, the next morning, my internal clock woke me up. My phone was filled with messages from Evelyn, ranging from questioning to hysterical. One message read, "Sebastian, you left a piece of clothing at my place. Aren't you worried your new girlfriend will think you still have feelings for me?" I replied, "If it's convenient, please throw it away. If not, I'll have my assistant arrange for someone to pick it up." Evelyn, having waited all night, finally received this indifferent reply and nearly smashed her phone in anger. She had cut her finger on the broken cup, bleeding quite a bit. She sent numerous photos and voice messages trying to gain my sympathy. In the past, I would have rushed back to bandage her wound, but now I remained indifferent. My brief reply only indicated that I had seen her messages, but chose not to respond, thinking she wasn't dependent on me. Evelyn immediately called Crystal and their friends to go clubbing. Gabriel joined them, but even with him by her side, Evelyn drank till she blacked out, muttering my name. Gabriel's eyes flashed with anger, and Crystal, sensing the tension, tried to smooth things over. "Gabriel, Evelyn's drunk and acting out. Don't mind her. I'll take her home." Gabriel, smiling, warmly said, "I don't trust you to take care of her. If she gets sick, I'll take her home." Before Crystal could object, Gabriel had already taken the drunken Evelyn into a waiting taxi. The next morning, Evelyn woke up with a headache, instinctively calling out, "Sebastian, honey, water." When there was no response, she angrily shouted, "Sebastian, my head hurts." "Honey, water," a hoarse male voice replied. "What do you need?" Alarm bells went off in Evelyn's mind. It wasn't Sebastian. Turning stiffly, she saw Gabriel shirtless and disheveled, sitting up with a frown. Looking down, she realized she was naked under the covers, her body covered in marks. Even if she couldn't remember, she knew what had happened the night before, though it wasn't voluntary. Evelyn quickly accepted waking up at Gabriel's place. Smiling, she playfully scratched his waist with her nails. "Honey, I want honey water." Despite his, Gabriel got up, resigned, and put on his pants. Gabriel, grumbling about Evelyn's demands, went to the kitchen to get a glass and honey. Frustrated, he threw the glass when he realized it was too cold, shattering it on the floor. The sound of breaking glass snapped Evelyn out of her daze. If it had been Sebastian, he would have given her warm water and stopped her from throwing things in a fit of anger. "Are you crazy?" Gabriel shouted, unable to believe what had just happened. Evelyn, staring at the angry Gabriel, finally realized that Sebastian was truly gone and would never again prepare warm honey water for her. After a night of drinking, she wasn't as indifferent to Sebastian as she had thought. Gabriel, now fully awake and angry, handed Evelyn cleaning tools and ordered her to clean up. "I'm not your doting boyfriend. I won't tolerate your tantrums," he said. Evelyn, now fully sober, understood that Gabriel was referring to Sebastian. The mix of alcohol and sadness left a bitter taste in her mouth. She tearfully replied, I don't have a doting boyfriend, Gabriel. Seeing the mess, had no intention of comforting her. You messed around with me. And he found out now. He doesn't want you, he said mockingly. Evelyn, clutching the blanket, looked genuinely hurt. Gabriel continued, stop wallowing in self-pity. If you want a specific temperature for your drink, say so. In advance, who knew you were so picky? Evelyn, looking at Gabriel's impatient face, wanted to say that Sebastian knew. She finally understood how precious Sebastian was. Not only had he built a successful tech company from scratch, but he had also been devoted to her for 3 years, never flirting with other women. She couldn't let him go. Evelyn, hurriedly dressed, intending to leave. Gabriel, noticing her actions, grabbed her and said, all right, I was wrong. Don't be mad. I'll call housekeeping to clean up. Let's go try the new restaurant across the street for breakfast. Despite wanting to refuse, Evelyn couldn't escape Gabriel's grip. His sweet words and pleading eyes convinced her to go with him. Evelyn, not bothering to dress up, left with Gabriel. Her wrinkled dress and unkempt hair made her look disheveled, a stark contrast to her usual polished appearance. At the restaurant entrance, he heard a familiar voice and turned to see Sebastian, looking handsome in casual sportswear, accompanied by a tall, stylish woman. Evelyn felt a surge of anger and jealousy. Seeing them together, she couldn't believe they hadn't spent the night together. Gabriel, noticing her reaction, smirked and said, looks like your boyfriend knows how to have fun too. Ignoring Gabriel, Evelyn stormed over and grabbed Sebastian's arm. He immediately shook her off. His expression annoyed. Her anger flared even more. Sebastian, you're unbelievable. We just broke up, and you're already cooking for another woman and spending the night with her. You're a master of time management, never wasting a moment. In reality, Sebastian had just gone for a morning run with Victoria and stopped for breakfast. He intended to take things slow with Victoria out of respect, but he felt no obligation to explain this to Evelyn. His cold gaze made Evelyn feel like she was throwing a tantrum. She felt deeply wronged, believing Sebastian belonged to her. She had never seen him so gentle with any other woman in the past 3 years. Her eyes were filled with accusation. Evelyn lashed out, Sebastian, you're a jerk. You moved out and immediately got involved with another woman. Are all men just this weak? Is she better in bed than I was? I could tolerate her insults, but I couldn't let Victoria be dragged into this. My eyes flashed with anger as I protected Victoria behind me, looking at Evelyn with annoyance. Miss Evelyn, this behavior is harassment. I have the right to call the police. Evelyn's last memory of me was my caring gesture of buying cake for friends and ensuring her safety before leaving. She never expected me to be so cold. Upon our next encounter, she was used to me comforting her, but now I was threatening to call the police. Sebastian, how can you treat me like this? What were these 3 years to you? A joke? She asked in disbelief. I was done giving her the benefit of the doubt. Evelyn, you're hardly innocent yourself, I said, glancing pointedly at Gabriel behind her. Her face turned pale as she asked, what do you mean? Are you going to blame me? Now Gabriel chimed in, you misunderstand. Evelyn is just a friend. She's too pure to do anything wrong, I reminded her. I've seen the dash cam footage. Realizing the implication, Evelyn's face drained of color. Stepping closer, she grabbed my arm, tearfully stammering, Sebastian, listen, it wasn't me, it was Crystal and her boyfriend. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to upset you. Evelyn still hoped the dash cam only recorded audio, not video. I nearly laughed at her attempt to manipulate me. Just then the restaurant hostess approached, saying our table was ready. Evelyn tried to stop me, but I sidestepped her, guiding Victoria into the restaurant without looking back, leaving Evelyn stunned. Evelyn prided herself on understanding me, knowing I was disciplined and had boundaries. Seeing me treat another woman with such care was a shock she couldn't conceal. She collapsed on mall floor, bewildered and heartbroken. Gabriel, seeing her distress, feigned concern and said, don't be sad, he isn't worth it. Tears in her eyes, Evelyn looked up and said, why is he so cruel? I love him. Gabriel thought to himself, if you loved him, why were you with me? But he said, Evelyn, I know you're sentimental, but you have me. I may not be as good as him, but I love you more. Evelyn's mind was filled with the image of me leaving, distracted and irritated by Gabriel's chatter. She snapped, can you shut up? This is your fault. Sebastian wouldn't have left me if it weren't for you. Offended, Gabriel left her sitting there fuming in the restaurant. I apologized to Victoria. Sorry. You had to see that. She smiled gently. It's okay, just surprising. I asked, "What do you mean?" she replied. "I thought you would have a clean break. I'm surprised to see this drama." I sighed, rubbing my brow. "You probably guessed. She cheated, not something I'm proud of," I admitted. Victoria, seeing my bitter smile, said, "It's nothing. Everyone has a past. She made a mistake. You deserve someone better." Feeling lighter, I smiled and offered her a shrimp dumpling. "Don't worry. There are plenty of beautiful things in the world. I won't miss out because of one crooked tree." Meanwhile, Evelyn left the mall and went to Crystal's place. Seeing her state, Crystal pulled her inside and asked, "What happened? Who hurt you? Is it Gabriel?" Evelyn, sobbing, said, "It's not him." Crystal, worried, urged, "Tell me, we'll make things right." After a while, Evelyn finally said, "I just saw Sebastian." Crystal, I realize I love him more than Gabriel. Over these 3 years, I've fallen in love with Sebastian." Crystal said nonchalantly, "Isn't this a good thing? You finally realized your feelings, that standing guy loves you so much. Just sweet talk him a bit, and you two will be back together." Evelyn replied, "He hasn't been anyone standing for a long time. He's the one I love." Crystal responded, all right, he isn't." "Oh, come on, stop crying." Evelyn, choking back her tears, said, "But what do I do? He seems to have found out about me. Gabriel, he must hate me now." Crystal was shocked. "How could that happen?" Evelyn, "You were too careless. Having one foot in two boats is not something everyone can pull off. It's too easy to get caught." Evelyn said, "Sebastian looks at me like I'm a virus now, like he's afraid of getting sick if he's near me. He even said he'd call the police if I keep bothering him." Crystal, indignant on her friend's behalf, said, "He's so petty. Even if you can't be friends after breaking up, he doesn't have to treat you like a plague. What's with his lack of class? Forget him." Evelyn, "Forced love is never sweet. You're so beautiful. You can have any man you want. Why fixate on him? The next one will be better." Evelyn finally wiped away her tears and lifted her head. She huffed, "Now I've seen his true colors. I'll delete all his contacts and cut him out of my life. If I ever talk to him again, I'll be a fool." Despite her tough words, Evelyn's mind was filled with images of Sebastian cooking in an apron, working on his laptop, and casual clothes, waiting for her with desserts after work, carrying her to the bathroom after being together. Evelyn thought she loved Gabriel and waited for him for 3 years. But now that he was back, she realized her feelings for Gabriel were nothing compared to what she felt for Sebastian. Gabriel didn't make her heart race, but Sebastian had become her ideal type. Crystal, seeing through Evelyn's facade, had advised Evelyn, "You're beautiful and come from a good family. Who wouldn't want a girlfriend like you?" Gabriel didn't care much before, but now he's back and totally devoted to you. If you really can't let go of Sebastian, why not try to win him back? Change those little temper tantrums of yours, and he'll come back to you." Evelyn found it unreasonable, but was tempted by the suggestion. She asked, "You want me to chase him?" Crystal responded naturally, "Of course. In love, who cares about face? Look at my relationship with my boyfriend. We've both had to swallow our pride to make up. It's no big deal." Evelyn pondered. Crystal continued, "This is just a suggestion. You and Gabriel are getting along well. He might not be as good as Sebastian, but he's not bad either. Why not just settle with him?" Evelyn hesitated for a few seconds before snapping, "Crystal, you never have anything good to say." Separated from Evelyn, I finally had my weekends back. I spent a morning working on my personal finance and time management plans, especially after buying a house, which significantly reduced my liquidity. After completing my routine tasks, I added relationship time in the blank spaces of my schedule, ready to make time for meaningful relationship. Shen invited me for a drink. He asked, "Sebastian, now that you're single, what's your plan? Are you going to focus solely on work?" I sipped my drink and replied, "I'm no saint. I'm not planning to work alone forever. I'm almost 28. It's time for a serious relationship." Chenzi asked, "What's going on with you and Victoria?" I replied, "More than friends, but not quite lovers. At our age, relationships are about marriage, so it's best to be cautious." Chance, being both my best friend and business partner, didn't beat around the bush. He asked, "Did Victoria have any relationships abroad?" I admitted, "She dated 2 people, a local and a Chinese, who moved there years ago. She's been single since last year. We're both not blank slates at our age. It's normal to have a past. If I had just liked Victoria in college, getting to know her again made me like her even more. She was the first woman I found so warm and intelligent, always taking the initiative but still reserved. Thinking about a future with her filled me with joy. Since that restaurant encounter with Evelyn, Victoria had been surprisingly proactive, bringing me breakfast at work Every morning, despite her busy schedule, she always found time to bring me food and tell me to eat while it was hot before rushing off. Chance was envious, saying, "Sebastian, you must cherish Victoria. I've never seen a better match, both elite, smart, and hardworking. She even makes you breakfast, unlike the pampered princess you used to serve." I frowned, disliking the comparison, and said, "Don't bring up the past. Criticize Evelyn all you want, but don't compare Victoria to others. We haven't confirmed our relationship, but I know I admire Victoria, and she feels the same way about me. Life is short and time flies. Finding someone who fits you perfectly in every way is incredibly rare." I decided it was time to break the ice with Victoria. Evelyn, realizing she had been blocked and unable to reach me, fell into a deep sadness. She lost weight and felt miserable, unable to contact me or know where I had moved to. She came to my office to avoid gossip among colleagues. I brought her into my office. "Evelyn, I've told you many times we're over. Can't you keep some dignity?" I said, exasperated. Her eyes reddened, ignoring my firm words. She poured out everything she had rehearsed. "Sebastian, I love you. I've fallen completely in love with you. I had so many chances to tell you, but my pride stopped me. I kept lying to myself that you were just a stand-in, thinking you would keep me in control of this relationship. My self-deception only deepened our misunderstandings. Can you give me another chance?" I shook my head, my expression unchanging. "Evelyn, you're a woman. I try to leave you some dignity by not being too blunt. You know what you've done. There's no chance for us. You've become tainted in my eyes." Evelyn clung to my shirt, her hands trembling, tears streaming down her face. "Please listen to me. I know I was wrong, completely wrong. I was foolish and let him manipulate me. Please forgive me. My world is falling apart without you. I promise never to repeat my mistakes. Give me a chance to make things right," she pleaded. I looked at her briefly, then coldly pulled my shirt free, checking my watch. I said impatiently, "I have a date tonight and need to leave. Will you go now or wait for security to escort you out?" Evelyn, seeing no trace of disappointment or heartbreak in my eyes, felt deeply hurt. "Sebastian, are you going to see Victoria?" she asked. She had already noticed our close relationship. "I won't deny it," I replied. Evelyn felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. "Sebastian, you say I'm tainted, but what makes Victoria better than me? I gave you my first time. She probably gave hers to someone else," I answered without hesitation. "So what? Her past relationships don't matter to me. I only know I like her, and that's enough." Then I called security. "This is Sebastian. Please escort the person in my office out. I need to leave." Evelyn couldn't hold back her sobs as Victoria stepped out of the elevator. She heard two girls gossiping about the handsome man waiting for someone. I wore a black coat, which enhanced my unique charm at 28. Victoria felt her heart race like a teenager again. She ran to me, noticing I wore glasses today, adding a touch of warmth and elegance to my features. "Today, you look like a gentleman," she remarked with delight. "I wore them because I was going to see you," I replied, effortlessly charming her. "I regret not taking that step in college," Victoria confessed, her heart pounding. "Better late than never," I said, smiling warmly. And holding her hand, we smiled at each other, the warmth of our palms connecting us. Suddenly, Evelyn barged in, angrily separating our hands. "Sebastian, how can you move on so quickly?" she yelled, her eyes filled with jealousy and resentment. I frowned, shielding Victoria. "Evelyn, are you following me? Do you know what you're doing?" Evelyn scoffed, looking Victoria up and down with a mocking smile. "Sebastian, what does she have that I don't? Who else would want her except you?" Before I could respond, Victoria interjected, "Right. Who would want me? Would they want you instead?" Evelyn, rendered speechless, finally retorted, "Do you think Sebastian really loves you? You're just a novelty. I spent 3 years with him, and he never felt anything for me. How can you expect to win his heart so easily?" Holding Victoria's hand firmly, I said, "Evelyn, Victoria isn't a newcomer. She was the girl liked in college. The day I met you, I was drinking away my sorrow because I heard she had a boyfriend abroad. Agreeing to the stand-in contract was because I thought she'd never return, and I was heartbroken." "Evelyn, you're not the only one with a first love. Victoria is mine too." I meant what I said, and I wasn't lying. I never had feelings for you. You're not my type. With that, I turned and walked away with Victoria, leaving Evelyn standing there stunned. Evelyn, heartbroken, returned to our shared home, threw herself onto the bed where we had shared countless sweet moments, and cried herself to exhaustion that night. At 10 p.m., Crystal and Evelyn's mother found her. Evelyn, why was your phone off? Your mom was worried, sick. Crystal said desperately. Her mother explained, your dad was in a car accident. The doctor said he might not make it through the night. I couldn't reach you, so I asked Crystal to help find you. Rushing to the hospital, Evelyn saw her father covered in tubes lying on the bed. She cried uncontrollably. It was too much for her. In one day, her father, sensing his end, whispered, Evelyn, don't cry. Kneeling by his side, she sobbed, Daddy, what's happening? Don't scare me, her father continued weakly. The business has been in trouble for a while. We've used up our savings to keep it afloat. But now everything is mortgaged. All that's left is your mom's retirement house. You'll have to take care of her now. I'm sorry, Evelyn. With that, he passed away, having made peace with his final moments. Evelyn, already devastated from hearing that Sebastian never loved her, now faced her father's death and the collapse of their family business. She knelt in the hospital corridor, feeling her world fall apart. She wished it was all a dream, and she would wake up to find everything back to normal. Her father alive, their family wealthy, and herself still cherished by Sebastian after her father's sudden death. The family plummeted into misfortune. Many so-called friends disappeared, and Evelyn, lost and disoriented, neglected her work. Yet every evening she came to my office building, hoping to catch a glimpse of me, though she never did as I used the underground parking. She heard from mutual friends that my tech company had applied for an IPO with only 6 months until I would become the chairman of a public company. She thought bitterly that my luck had only improved since leaving her. She consoled herself, thinking if she didn't see me, it meant I wasn't in a new relationship. Then one day I walked through the lobby in a hurry instead of heading to the parking lot. Evelyn, seeing me for the first time in almost 2 months, wanted to greet me, but I didn't even glance her way. Instead, I hugged Victoria and kissed her gently before we left, hand in hand. Heartbroken, Evelyn hid in a corner, unsure how to react. Returning home after dropping Victoria off, I stepped out of the elevator to find Evelyn waiting for me. How did you find this place? I asked, frowning. I asked the real estate agent. We used to buy our home. He didn't know we broke up, so he told me. She replied, feeling nothing but annoyance and helplessness. I didn't invite her in, instead standing in the hallway to finish the conversation. Sebastian, I recently checked the mortgage on the house I live in. I thought it was deducted from my account. But you've been paying it. You even paid it off entirely. Why didn't you mention this when we broke up? I know you still have feelings for me, right? You were just angry, she said, sobbing. I coldly replied, no need. Consider it compensation. I don't want anything to do with you. Stay away from me. And it's as good as repaying me ignoring my rejection. She continued, crying, Healy, I've changed my bad temper. I'll learn to cook and take care of you. Why can't we start over? Her crying was giving me a headache. Evelyn, stop. We're done. Move on. You'll find someone who truly loves you, I said, taking a deep breath. She needed to accept the truth and let go. There was no future for us, and clinging to the past would only bring more pain. I don't want anyone else. I only want you, Evelyn cried, shaking her head in desperation. Evelyn, you love the version of me that you created, the perfect boyfriend who caters to your every need, but I am not that person. If you want someone who will take care of you like that, you can find someone else. It doesn't have to be me, I replied calmly. No, it's not like that. I love you, Sebastian. I want to be with you, not to have you take care of me, but because I love you. I'll learn to cook, do housework, and take care of you. I promise I'll change, she pleaded. I listened patiently, my expression unchanged. When she looked up at me with hopeful eyes, I said, Evelyn, you misunderstood. Housework can be done by anyone. I'm not looking for a maid and a girlfriend. Evelyn looked confused. I know a relationship requires mutual effort. I want to take care of you as you took care of me. I promise I'll never lose my temper or do anything to hurt you again. Let's go back to how things were. After a moment of silence, I responded back to how things were. Our relationship was based on a contract. There were no real feelings involved. Evelyn felt like her heart had stopped. Sebastian, I love you so much, but I realized it too late. I'm sorry, she sobbed, seeing the hopeless look in her eyes. I said, I never had feelings for you, Evelyn. You're not the one for me. Evelyn, her spirit broken, slowly left, feeling like an empty shell. Returning home, she found Gabriel in her living room, a smug smile on his face. How did you get in? She asked, her voice trembling with fear. You shouldn't use your birthday as a password. He replied, his eyes fixed on the TV. That's when Evelyn noticed the disturbing sounds coming from the surround sound system. Turned to see a video of herself on the screen. When did you record this? She asked, horrified. That night you got drunk at my place, Gabriel said, toying with his phone. I recorded everything. Evelyn lunged at him, trying to grab his phone. Delete it, give it to me. She screamed, her voice cracking with rage and despair. Gabriel easily dodged her, holding the phone out of reach. Delete it, I've got backups. If you don't do as I say, these videos will be everywhere, he threatened. Collapsed on the floor, trembling. Evelyn asked, what do you want? With a malicious smile, Gabriel said, 500,000, that's my price. Evelyn, desperate and unable to believe his demand, replied, I don't have that kind of money. Figure it out. Evelyn, I'm not asking. Gabriel said, his voice cold and menacing. I sat back in my chair, my hands resting casually on the armrests, my tone icy. Go ahead. The video doesn't involve me. Let's see if your phone spread faster than I can ruin you. I have the power to crush insignificant pests like you effortlessly. Gabriel, panic-stricken, felt his palms grow clammy. The video on his phone now felt like a hot potato swallowing hard. He stammered, give me some money, and I promise I'll disappear from your lives. I sneered, my eyes filled with disdain. Threat me? You wish whoever's in the video go deal with them. I'd rather throw my money away than give it to a worthless scum like you. Leave now, or you'll regret stepping through this door. Gabriel wanted to say more, but my cold, piercing gaze silenced him. The saying was true, money and power can change a person's aura. He fled in a panic, phone in hand. I didn't think much of the incident, but mentioned it to Victoria over dinner. She pondered for a moment and said, Sebastian, if Gabriel recorded the video, there are likely backups on his computer, cloud storage, and other devices. You're good at hacking. Maybe you should delete them. All. I chuckled, ruffling her hair affectionately. Didn't know you had a saintly side. Victoria, she pushed me playfully. Stop it. We can't let him keep those photos. Delete them all in my study. I sat at my computer entering lines of code. Half an hour later, I had tracked and deleted all of Gabriel's photos and videos of Evelyn, leaving no trace. I knew these videos wouldn't affect me or my career, and I didn't care about Evelyn. I did it because Victoria's serious expression was too adorable to resist. Gabriel, feeling increasingly defiant, decided to release the video iOS. But when he opened his computer, he was shocked to find all the files gone. He quickly realized who had the skills to hack his devices now. He was more worried about what else might have been exposed. Gabriel regretted ever crossing paths with me. Desperate, he went to Evelyn, apologizing profusely. Evelyn, I'm sorry for what I did. Can you ask Sebastian to forgive me? Evelyn, confused by his sudden change in attitude, quickly understood. She didn't need to ask if Sebastian had done something she knew only he could make. Gabriel apologized, feeling a mix of fear and hope. Evelyn went to my office, her mind filled with memories of our past. She believed that deep down I still cared for Sebastian, had always been angry with her, his deep love turning into deep resentment. When Evelyn saw me, her eyes lit up with hope. Just as she was about to speak, I coldly interrupted her, a hint of impatience in my voice. I helped you because my girlfriend couldn't stand Gabriel's behavior, I said. Evelyn froze, her face turning red with embarrassment. She wished she could disappear. Evelyn, I can't believe you have the nerve to come to me. Have you no shame? I continued, throwing a USB drive at her. It contained the inappropriate videos Gabriel had taken. Take a good look at yourself. Don't try to entangle me again. If I could get the videos from Gabriel, I can release them too. Try me. My words cut through Evelyn like a knife. She knew I no longer loved her and would not show her any mercy. Covering her face in shame, tears streamed down her cheeks. Without needing to be told, she left my office, walking aimlessly on the streets, everything around her a blur. Each step felt like it took all her strength, her once vibrant heart now drained of life. Unknowingly, Evelyn found herself by the river, staring at the cold water. Her mind was numb, memories flashing by like a movie reel, but none could rekindle her will to live. Sebastian, I'm sorry. I really love you, she whispered, slowly walking into the water. As the river engulfed her, her world faded to black. Gabriel, once arrogant and full of himself, had fallen from grace, deep in debt. He hid in a dark corner of the city, starving and filthy. His creditors eventually found him, beating him and leaving him to perform degrading acts for wealthy individuals with peculiar tastes. Each time he disobeyed, he was beaten, his teeth forcibly removed. Eventually, Gabriel was left in an abandoned warehouse, barely alive, surrounded by rats gnawing at his body, unable to call for help. He slowly closed his eyes, ending his miserable life. His body would rot, forgotten by the world. Years later, on a sun-dappled campus path, I walked hand in hand with my wife, the girl who had captured my heart in college. We occasionally stopped to reminisce about the past, pointing out the classroom where we first met, the library corner where I secretly watched her, and the field where she nervously watched me play basketball. The years seemed to overlap, blending the innocence of youth with the happiness of the present. We walked slowly, fingers intertwined, sharing our daily lives and dreams for the future under the gentle glow of the moonlight.